Hey, everybody, welcome to this special workshop that we're really excited about. And this workshop is about stop spending and wasting money on ads or only on ads. You need to not ignore where your people are, which is all around you. And if you're not in there in person, you're definitely not reaching the right audience. And to help us navigate through these events that they look easier in theory than in reality. We have Gloria Valdes and Dionisio Palencia. Hi, Gloria. Hi, Dio. How are you guys?
Very good,
Morning.
very good. Good morning. Good morning. Good
So,
afternoon and good night, whatever you are.
wherever they're watching this from,
That's
and
true.
just to give us a little bit of an overview, I'm sure people already know you guys, but Gloria is known as a queen of outreach in the Central Valley, at least. When I say California, I'll probably say the country. I don't. We could debate that, but Gloria, tell us a little bit about you, your background, your experience. What do you do?
Well, I have about 30 plus years of outreach experience. And literally, I've always been outreaching because I was doing it for my mom as a child, outreaching, being her interpreter, trying to get her the best deal on whatever it was. But going back to outreach, I worked for Catholic Charities Diocese of Fresno. I worked for one of the largest community action agencies in the nation, which is Fresno EOC. I developed a lot of programs, and that's how I met Dio, and also represented 4 counties for a major dental company here in the Central Valley. And I also worked for the Fresno County Elections Department as an outreach worker. But more specifically, just give you an example, this weekend I was at the Pet Expo. And, all of these pets, all of these saved animals, predominantly we had cats. We had cats, and we had tried to, get them homes online over the phone, but they did not get homes until the people were there and we could speak to them and tell them the story about the cat and show them the cat. So basically, I'm like, oh, I'm still doing outreach, but I'm volunteering because we were able to get at least 9 cats homes out of 14, where we were not able to do that online. We're not able to do that on the phone. We're not able to do that at all. And just this weekend, we had major success finding 9 forever homes for cats. And I thought, wow, my outreach work is really coming in handy because there was at least maybe about 5,000 people there, but not really interested in cats, but we had to find the right people. So basically, I have a lot of outreach experience and I love what I do. I love what I do. I'm always thinking out of the pocket when it comes to outreach. So we're doing kids events. We have, the bubble machines. We have stuff to attract the kids. If it's hot, like it is hot here in the Central Valley, we're offering water because people are going to find out where the water is, the water trail, and they end up at our table. So outreach is just something I do, and I love doing it.
No, and
I'm
you
good at
are the queen of it. I think that's undisputable. And like I said, we're gonna have one day an outreach competition to see who can beat you. I put a money on you for sure. And Dio, tell us a little bit about you. Like, what do you do? What's your experience? Your background?
it.
I've been doing grassroots marketing, and also you can call it outreach or whatever you call it, but it's the same thing. I've been doing since I was in college. I was in an internship. Yeah, last year.
He's being modest. He's being modest.
Yeah, yeah. So because I was bilingual, and then so I ended up working in a nonprofit, and then end up making a career in this. So I have worked not only in the nonprofit sector, but also in the government sector and the private sector. And then obviously have helped also faith-based organizations and promote their services and then spread out, So a vast experience for, I would say, like about a couple decades already. And what that does is just creates a portfolio of different tools that you can use for grassroots marketing. A lot of people think it's just outreach. It's more than that. So there's different versions. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that today. And I think people are going to be surprised to find out how big names in the industry and commercial companies actually use grassroots marketing. People don't even realize it. And that's where they get most of their clients. It's not even
Absolutely. No, and I
traditional
think
media.
that the problem right now is with the digital expansion and the AI, and everyone is just like gold rushing and just going because they think that putting money on Facebook and Google are going to yield results. And I think it used to. It used to be great. But now everyone rushed over there. So now you're competing with all your competition. And then now it becomes an issue of who puts the most money there is going to win. Maybe. And there's a lot of tracking that's about clicks, but not about real connection with the people. Like, how do you even track that connection? So, Gloria, like, what is something from your experience when you first started back then, how you've seen it grow and where we are now, and what is something that companies are not that are taking for granted now as far as what you've seen them move to?
I think companies are taking for granted that they're spending all this money on social media platforms, and people are bored with social media now. There's so much out there that, and for me personally, I also get on TikTok, I get on Instagram, I get on Facebook, and my finger is just doing this now. Where back when it first started, I was like, oh, I was in awe, and it seemed like just the perfect thing to fix everything. It's not. They're losing the one to one connection. They're not connecting anymore. You're scrolling, and I can tell you, if you're at home, you probably scrolled 50 things in maybe a minute. Boom, boom, boom. You're going through it. But when you meet someone in person, like we do, and we connect with them. We connect with them on so many different levels because I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I've been a student, I've worked for the county, I've worked for the federal government. I, work for private sectors. I literally have been a farm labor worker with my parents. I'm an immigrant. I'm very proud of that as well. And so we can connect with so many different people in so many different ways. And I don't feel like you can do that on social media because you're only speaking to yourself. You're reading those words through your own mind. You're not connecting with another person. And I can actually say that I worked for a company that was they were only working their employees 20 hours a week doing social media ads and calling on the phone or whatever. And when I went out to work for them, within 4 months, they were already, maybe 3 or 4 months, they were already working their employees full time. And eventually, after 7 months, they were doing some weekends. So it showed how Grassroots compared to social media platforms or without the platforms, because someone told me, what is the difference? What is the difference? Why are they now working full time and some Saturdays? What did the employees do in the office to create this? I said, I don't know. They go, no, it was you. It was you being at the different outreach events, at the swap meets, at the fairgrounds, meeting people, getting those leads, and then calling them back. And I thought, wow, that person's right. Because basically, the office remained the same. The only thing that was different was that now they had outreach, but grassroots outreach, which I think is, in my opinion, is superior to social media outreach. But of course, that's just my opinion because I'm partial. I have seen it work. I have.
Getting it wrong because they want to measure everything. And unfortunately, not everything can be measured. The impact of social media, I mean, has created this bubble of that you have to count every single number. In grassroots marketing, there's a way to count it, but people don't want to do it. But it's highly productive. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. I was with this organization that grew up from a single dental clinic and then grew up to being more than 200 clinics spread out in multiple states. And when we were acquired by a different organization, they were surprised that we spent zero money on advertising, on TV, radio, and they would just ask us, "How do you guys do it?" It's like, well, we only have staff. At the time, it was several staff spread out in different markets where they were covering between 5 to 10 clinics that they were promoting. So they were always busy. There was always something on the weekend. They tell us we're going to cut it, even though our expenses were a fraction. Comparing was not even 25% on the huge amount that they were spending in millions of dollars in advertising, social media, TV, radio. They cut us off and they absorbed. And yes, obviously, because it was well maintained, for an entire year, they almost had the same clients. But after a year, you can start seeing how the decline went really fast, extremely fast, to the point that after a couple of years, there were less than half of the clinics, and then 5 years passed the road, and they're only a quarter what we used to have, and the ones that they were able to maintain, they're struggling. They only had 25 patients when with Grassroots marketing, we were averaging 150 patients per day in each clinic, because the clinics
Wow.
were massive, and they have an open bay and multiple chairs, and we did really good. And it's just, that tells you how much grassroots marketing does. It's productive. And in the other example, just to put it short, another dental clinic too as well. It was, they didn't want to do, they were pediatric, and they were starting, and I told the doctor, like, we need to have a promo. We get this to the Head Starts. It says $65 free exam, cleaning, and everything. The husband was part owner, and it's like, no, that's too low. We're gonna get over bombarded. It's not gonna work. Okay, fine. Another clinic had the same similarity, took the concept. In 2 years now, there are 5 clinics, and the other clinic that didn't want to do that, they're still stuck at 1, and they're still struggling. It just tells you, you cannot measure these things. You have to actually go meet and interact with people. And the last example I'm going to put is a truck company that were struggling on getting clients, and and they were telling me, we spent so much money on social media, TV, radio, and we don't seem to get clients. And one of the things I tell them, well, have you thought about getting a local social influencer? That's grassroots marketing too. Someone that is local in the market, has a lot of followers, is going to do better pull. And then you do live events at certain locations, and let's try that out. They did that, and now they have 3 trucks, and they're extremely busy. So that tells you the power of grassroots marketing, and it's across the board. I mean, it works in every single place. It's just, you just have to do it right. It takes work, and it's not easy, and you have to be willing to put the sweat. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so I think everyone agrees that, I mean, this is necessary, the being in the community and being in person in front of people. So we got that. How do we do this? Like, okay, I have my small business. I'm tight on time. My employees, I don't have the resources to really be out there in the community, or maybe I do and I just don't know where to start. How do I, as a small business, get started in grassroots? I already know I need it. How do I do this? Or Gloria, how would you suggest someone gets started? Not even the advance on how to even get better. How do I get started?
As far as hiring someone or sending an employee, okay, I would start looking for events through the county, through the Office of Education, through the major agencies like Fresno EOC. As a matter of fact, that's how I met Dio. Dio was looking for outreach events. He was in from San Jose, I believe, and he stopped by to visit Fresno EOC, which is, like I said, the second largest community action agency in the nation, only second to Kansas City. And I happened to be there and was, happy to meet him. I connected him with West Fresno Resource Center. I connected him with HCAP. I connected him with Centro de la Familia, with Office of Education. And through those emails, he started a network. I'm sure Dio, because we were going back and forth later in emails, has something come through your desk. And so we would share that. But as a small employer, or maybe we only have 2 employees, so you can't miss those. You need those employees at your place of business. I would reach out to an outreach like us and say, what can you offer me? Which events? And then I would basically put a list of events, whether they're, let's say they're a real estate company or an automotive place. Where do they want to be? And I would, give them maybe 10 events and say, choose which ones, and I'll let you know how many people attend. Because I usually keep a log of all events. So last year there was 1,000 people. This was a free event. There was 5,000 people. This was $100. But that's what I would do. I would read out, if I was a small business, I would reach out to Dio, to you, and say, how much would it cost to have someone out there? Or how much would it cost just to give me information on where I need to be? And if they need training, we're here to train them. Or if they want to send one of our staff, then we can send someone out for them. That's how I would do it. If Grassroots, I wouldn't go on social like the radio stations, because I don't know if your investment pays off as much with the television radio stations as it does with Grassroots, especially if you're just starting off. Maybe later, but when you're just starting off, I think you should go one-to-one into the grassroots marketing. Not door to door, but mostly events.
And Dio, do you think that what will come first, like an analysis of their needs? For example, let's say I have
Assessment.
an insurance company and or a dental clinic, and I obviously have a certain audience I'm looking for. Do you start there and then look for events, or do you sort of just try to be at the best events? Like if you have a big fair, or how would you start yourself? How would you? What would you say to people to do?
Well, if it's a local neighborhood business, it's about saturation. So everyone in the neighborhood needs to see you. So that means all the main events that are close by, you have to create a presence. People start seeing you and have like little giveaways. Like if you're a restaurant, it wouldn't hurt to have samples of your food to give out to people. If you are an insurance company, have giveaways like a pens or something that people are drawn to it and they're going to go to your table. If it's a dental company, having toothbrushes, and so on, depending on the industry. And then also creating your own events, having info tables. Like if you're close to an anchor business like a Safeway, a Cardenas, or Vallarta, well, let me reach out to them, see if I can have an info table right there. You have your captive audience there, and you can just say like, hey, we're in the same shopping center, and we're just across the street with one of the neighbors. We're promoting the business here. That's another way to do it. So there's multiple ways to do it. So it's just like Gloria said, just looking for opportunities to promote your business, reaching out to people. And then raffle items are a really good way to do it too. You have like a raffle item. It's like, well, we're going to be doing the raffle. You have to be present. For example, you can say that, and it's a good price, and it's going to be on Saturday at this time. And you need to put a little bit of music and everything, so that people start coming. And then because they're excited, they want to win the raffle. But it obviously has to be like something that is valuable. It cannot be something, cheap, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be expensive. Something that has some value for people to come.
Yes.
And then once I'm there and I have my table and I have my raffle or whatever I'm doing to attract people, because I guess what you're saying is have something to attract attention. Like Gloria was saying, the bubble machine, whatever your audience is going to gravitate to. Our water, like you said, it's hot. You have water, you're gonna have a line. So once you have that attraction, Gloria, how do I capture that? Like, what's next?
Let me just add one more thing, tag on Dio, and our prior conversation was also know your surroundings, know your areas. If there's a large event, but it's outdoors and it's cold, it's winter, it's below, no one's going to show up. And I actually saw a company that bought spent a lot of money at one of the baseball stadiums during the summer. It's 107, it's 108. No one was out there, and thousands of dollars was just down the table because did not take into consideration when it's 107. Make sure you're indoors. Do a convention center indoors. Juneteenth is a prime example of that. Fresno is hot in June, and their events are at the convention center, and people go because it's a controlled environment. But when you have it it's 107 and they're outside, families, you might see vendors there, but you're not going to see families there, and you know that as well, right, Dio? With the climate, keep that in mind. And going back to your question, Furman, can you?
Yeah, well, I was saying, like, you got them, right? You got the event, you booked it, you found it, it's perfect. There's people there. You have a bubble machine, and you're giving out water in a hot day, and you have little trinkets, and people are stopping by because they love everything that you're offering. What? Because the purpose of that is for what? So now, what do we do? So these people are coming to your table. What do you do now?
Depending on what the employers want. Sometimes they only want their, they only want their flyers out or their pamphlets out. But some employers want leads because they make those leads money. and they have someone at home, at work, at the employment, they usually have a young woman or a young guy who's scheduling. So those leads can become appointments right away. If you're working, if the well-oiled machine is working perfect, you get 100 leads, you can make at least 75 to 80 of them appointments. You basically can, especially if you work well together. I met Mrs. Garcia. It's Saturday. Monday morning, they're calling her. Hi, Mrs. Garcia. You met Gloria at the event at West Fresno. And we're just calling to see, and I would get Mrs. Garcia's name. I would get her children's name. And so we could say, you met Gloria, you were there with Eddie and Maria, and we're wanting to know if you want to set up that appointment because we're here. We feel that you were interested. Gloria said you were interested, and we'd like to do that now. And what would be good for you? And if she's like, well, I can't, I'm on my way to work. We called her first in the morning. Well, can we call you back in the afternoon? What's a good time? And she, call me about 6 or 7, So that's how the grassroots marketing works ideally. Ideally, it works like that. Now, if you're not getting leads, you're still getting your name out there. You are still getting your name out there. You're still giving them a pin. Pins are forever. People say, oh, no, they don't need a pin because kids don't use, but guess who does use a pin? Parents use pins. So, I need to get my car washed, or here's that pin. Oh, yeah, I remember I met Dio out there, and he was advertising about this real estate company or a car wash or a dental or a doctor, and they're going to go with the familiarity that they've already have a connection with us. So I feel like getting leads is the best way, but it has to work with someone scheduling those appointments. Now, I believe that we could also schedule appointments for people, don't you think, Berman?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that now technology has made it where you're at the event and you are not having to follow up. You're actually capturing that lead in the appointment and whatever you're offering right then and there. And
Usually you can, but if the internet is not working or if you don't have a hotspot and something's going on, and sometimes you get bombarded if you only have one person doing the outreach. And I think, Dio, you can say from experience that sometimes you're getting bombarded by 15 people standing in front of your table at one time, and of course you want to capture all of them. And to do that you have to use a pin because you just can't do it on the laptop.
Right. Yeah, it's faster.
I think beyond that, where, for example, nonprofits, a lot of times they don't have necessarily a product or a service, and they may be there giving out information or helping people with certain things or taking their blood pressure, whatever it is. How something like that is not necessarily like an appointment or a lead, or how does that help a brand or a company when it's not something you're selling, but you're giving them something?
Well, there are programs, so it's the same concept. It's just a little bit different. So the main goal there is to go to events and then promote, like the Family Resource Center, where they have multiple events or resources. And the easiest way to attract them is also having small giveaways. It could be like a ball that a child can play, a stress ball, anything like that, and then register people. Saying like we have all these different services. You want to come to a workshop to where we can give you information about all the different services, or simply let's make an appointment for you to take a tour of the Family Resource Center and see if you just to come and get to know us and see the services that we offer and the resources that are available. So that's another way. Or go and promote an open house, which I think it's the best approach. You go to these large events or community events and promote. We're going to have an open house of our Family Resource Center. We're inviting the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get your name? And then you generate their names, their list, and then 2 or 3 days before, you start calling them. I just want to remind you, that we're going to have our open house. We got your name for X event, and we're reminding you to don't forget, to come to our event. So that's another way to do it. And then obviously if you have direct services, then you take out applications. Like if you have for WIC, for food stamps, for enrolling families on Medi-Cal, or the local dental program for children or adults, whatever it is, fresh produce, whatever it is, you just take those applications, and you can take a simple intake if you have multiple services. That way you can mark all the boxes where the people need, it might need that they need multiple services. So you start, marking those. So that's the way to do it. But you only do it with Grassroots. And like Gloria said, I mean, sometimes you can take the tablets and do it, but unfortunately, sometimes the connection is really, if it's internet based, the application, sometimes there's no service, or the connection is really bad, and you still have to do it on paper. So you have to have a backup of both, making sure that you will equip and you prepare to make sure you interact and you generate those leads. Because there's a difference between just being passive and sitting versus just working the crowd as they pass. Big difference.
It's true. And nonprofits don't have sales, but they are funded in the community that they serve. Working for a nonprofit, federally funded WIC. When I was out there doing outreach for WIC, I wasn't necessarily having to get leads. I was having to give them information. But people would come up to me and say, well, I have WIC, but I need childcare. Or I need to put my daughter in early Head Start for the after school program. Or my son didn't graduate from high school, but I need training. But, he's like 19 now, so he needs to make a little bit of money. Okay, EOC can do that. We have job training, get paid to go to school. We have early Head Start that'll take care of your children. So our program really grew in the amount of people we served, and that reflects on our funding. Because although it's not sales, it is sales. There's more people you get into the programs, at which I believe EOC had 32 programs at the time, then it was also you're helping the community. Why not help the community? It feels so good when you can help someone. I know so many young people that got their GED or their high school diploma because they came to my table, and then later they went to employment and training, or later they were able to work easily because they can take care of infants up to 6 months to a day old. They could take care of infants at Fresno EOC Early Head Start program. And WIC, promoted so much breastfeeding that I actually created a breastfeeding baby shower event that has been going since 2012, I believe. To this day, it's been going. It's been very, very successful. It's now, they now serve not only the Caucasian community, the Latino community, and Hmong. And I also helped with the African American baby showers. So I'm very proud of the work that I've done. And all of this work has been done through outreach, to say nothing of the work we did in Huron with Catholic Charities. We had people out there, we were giving them food vouchers, diapers, we were giving them coats because it was really cold. People were lining up at 3, 4 in the morning. We weren't getting there until 6, 7, 8 to start setting everything up with truckloads. But also through outreach, we found out they needed furniture, they needed diapers, seniors needed pads, education. There was a lot of things that went right back to the grassroots that we were doing, which in turn, we got another $50,000 grant to help more. So it all goes back to grassroots. Basically, it all goes back to connecting with people in person, because that's the best way I know how to do it.
So if there was one thing that during the event that you needed to make sure you did, and from everything we talked about, we talking about connecting with people, giving them a giveaway, collecting the lead, or giving the service. If there's one thing that you cannot miss, what would that be, Dio or Gloria or Dio? What would be the one thing that you say, if nothing else works, if the event was a failure, do not miss this?
Missing the opportunity to talk to people. So every time, one of the mistakes that I see is that people are sitting behind their desk, the table. You have to be in front of the table. Unless you have like 3 or 4 people, and then it's okay to have 2 there, but you always have to have someone outside actually the table, because you need to talk, and even you need to move a little bit and to attract people and then guide them towards your table. That way you have the opportunity to talk to them. So If it's not a successful event, that means either there was no foot traffic or you were not really active in talking to people, And one of my rule has always been to generate 10 appointments, you have to talk to 100 people.
Mhm.
So if you talk just to one people, yeah, that's not going to be really productive.
So you say don't be like that, and they sit there and they're like, they're not even moving. You're saying get up, be in front of the table. You don't have to be behind it all the time, or venture out. Do you agree with that, Gloria? That's a
I
good thing.
do, and do not congregate. Sometimes you have three outreach employees behind the table, and they're speaking to each other. And people are going by, and hey, mom, wow, they're getting paid to speak to each other instead of the people that are there that they should be reaching out to. And even myself, I see five people behind a table because their family's there, or there's potato chips on the table or food at the outreach table, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to interrupt them. They've got something going on. But because I have my experience, I will interrupt them. But I know that the regular person, they're not going to interrupt five people who have their husband showed up, they got the kid there, they got the sister visiting, they got the burrito or something that they brought. Do not do that. You have to have a friendly, but a professional. And being in front of the table, if you have two people, have one of them in the front. Have one of them in front. And if you are getting bombarded, the most important thing, because sometimes I have a list, the mom's name, the mom's date of birth, the mom's phone number, the child's name, the child's date of birth. But I'm getting bombarded and I need this information for leads. All I really need is the mom's name, last name, and her phone number. I can get her date of birth later. I can get her email later. I can get her child's name later. But if I can get her name and get her phone number right, I'm in business. Especially, you don't want to lose 12 people because you're trying to get all the information correct across the board. No. Say, hi, thank you. I'm here. What is your name? Okay, it's, Cynthia. Cynthia, well, thank you, Cynthia. Okay, Cynthia, give me your phone number. I promise I'll call you back. I'm a little bit busy right now, but we will be calling you back. And don't focus on all the detail. Get her name, get her number. And also do not assume, it's very important, when you have a mother or a father there with, three different children, three kids, do not assume all the kids have the same last name. You could offend people very easily. So if you have time, have them, when you have time, it's the best thing. When you have time, you're connecting, you have time, it's perfect. But never make any assumptions and let people speak, which I tend to try to do a lot because I speak a lot. But I make friends too. You're going to make friends. If you like outreach, if you like people, that's a job. And there's a good career in outreach now. Outreach workers make good money now. In fact, some of them have to have college degrees to do outreach. Where back in the day, they didn't, but now they do. It's a good profession.
Absolutely. And I think, well,
All over the board on that? That's what I do. Sorry.
The other thing I was going to add is presence too. You cannot go on flip flops, dirty T-shirt. I mean, you don't have to wear a tuxedo, but you have to have a nice presence. It can be just a clean T-shirt and a clean, cargo shorts too, and and tennies and everything. So just really take care of your presence because that sends a message, and it's not about what you're wearing, is like how clean and presentable you are. And it could be something as simple as that versus like going, something that looks like you just woke up, it doesn't.
Right.
That's another thing too.
Because you're representing.
Mm-hmm.
You're representing. Always nice to have a shirt with the logo or, what you're kind of wearing with the logo deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no, and I think these are things that sound like, yeah, that makes sense. Don't go with a dirty shirt. Don't go with a wrinkled shirt. It sounds like duh, but when you're sending people out and it's not necessarily you, because if it's your company, you're going to always represent your company in the best way possible. But remember that you probably are going to be also sending employees or other people, and they may need a reminder or some guidelines. Like Gloria was saying, like, provide them a shirt that has your company logo. If you're able to, that's great. I mean, the pictures are going to come out with your logo. All of these things are going to come out with the logo. So there's so many elements. And I think one thing that we do, and one thing that I like that we are putting together here, is that these resources, what we're talking about right now, a lot of times you need professionals to look at what you're doing. It's almost like a lawyer. You may know the law. You may know, yeah, this, I'm going through this legal situation. I know this, the law says this. But when you have a lawyer that's what they did, they went to school, they study law, they go to court all the time to see how judges interact, they're able to give you advice that you would not have thought of. Like little details are like, look, when we go to court, we're going to say this and then that. They have a plan because they've seen it in action. They've seen what works. They've probably been in situations where it has not worked. So they're going to guide you in the best direction so that you don't lose in court. And I think in outreach, you need the same advice as legal advice, or even a doctor that is going to tell you some of the best practices for your business. Because what you see online, you may go on YouTube, see some advice that works well for X industry. Maybe that industry, that's perfect advice. For your business, it needs to be about you and your audience. Because if you're looking for people that buy Harley Davidsons, that you're not going to speak to those people the same way you speak to people looking to make appointments for a kid's dentistry. Like they're just so
Right.
a lot of times like getting together with people like Gloria Dio to be able to give you an idea on some of that, actually some ideas on the things that you could do to maximize your outreach potential, or even just getting started. Maybe you're just like, look, this is what I do. This is my business. How do I get started? So I think that right now is a perfect time to really at least get the information. So if you want to do so, you can contact us, and we'll leave the link here below so you can send us a message, and you can actually talk to Dio, talk to Gloria, get some insight, and see where you go from here. And this is about, if you're in business, hopefully you're about making money. And if you're even in a nonprofit, you still have to make money, right? Be like you have to stay in business, whether you're profit or nonprofit. And you're not going to be able to do that just doing the same thing over and over and not getting results. We're showing you another way that's a proven way. For hundreds of years before people were on cellular phones, outreach was happening. I mean, you had to be out there. And now that we have the social media, we get lazy and we just think that we can send, like before you had to call people. And yes, you had to go to the payphone and call people. You had to get a quarter to call. Like we don't realize that technology has changed the world, but the world has not changed really. It's just we have new ways, but they're not the only ways. So in saying that, and hopefully you guys can send us a message if you want to get more information about this. But Gloria, like what's
Well,
something that you
you
can help
hear that
a
all the
company with?
time. Fermi, you hear that all the time. People say, "Oh, those computers, oh, those robots are taking over the world." They're not saying, "Oh, those computers and those robots, oh, they're so great, they're taking over the world." They're not saying it like that. They're saying they're losing the human contact, and they want that. And Dio had an example the other day of one of the oldest companies in the United States and maybe the world now. Dio, do you want to share that about their grassroots?
Well, there's many examples, but one of them I will say is a good example is Disney, how
Yeah.
they sell their vacation packages. So their biggest source of leads and how they sell the most is actually using Grassroots. So what they do, they put info tables outside of their parks, inside their parks, and they attract people just by, or neighborhood hotels, and they attract people by just like, we're going to give you a gift card. It's $100 or $200, and even if you don't qualify or anything, or you're not interested after I seen talking to us for 5 or 10 minutes, we'll give you the gift card, and that's how they sell the packages. It's not. It's the big one of the. It's the biggest generation of leads, and they sell the vacation packages, and it doesn't come from social media. It doesn't come from radio. Nothing. It's just from pure grassroots. Just having an info table, a little booth that is attracted with the logo and all the different things that they offer, and then offering something tangible to people, which is just a gift card. The other
Disney's doing.
one, yeah, and the other one, I will tell you that pure grassroots, and it's part of the work that we do. It use a cell. They are in multiple countries. They're probably bigger than some of the cell phone companies in the U.S. And they are not only based in Mexico, but in Latin America and even in some European countries. And the way they sell their programs is that they are in neighborhoods with not only info tables, but also with people with signs to tell them, like, if you want to add to your plan, or what they call it cargas, which is a little bit different from the way we buy our plans here. We're just around the corner. And people sometimes, and they're just driving, they see that, and then they see their phone, I'm low. They take a quick turn, they park really fast. Hey, I want to buy, to add to my plan. Okay, give me 50 pesos, 300 pesos, $5, whatever currency and where they are. And it's done. Or they're directed to the nearest 7-Eleven, which is kind of like their OXXO over there. So that's two examples of grassroots marketing, and that's what we do. It's there's so many ways to attract your clientele and just be proactive. And the reason I bring these two examples, because these is two well-known companies around the world, and their revenue is generated by grassroots marketing, not by advertising. So yes, they still advertise, don't get me wrong, but that's how they do the business. And the last one that I'm going to put is Coca-Cola. Like in Latin America, and even in the US, or Red Bull, the way they generate the business is also grassroots. They're at events. They're always having like promos where if you return the tables, we'll give you a t-shirt, we'll give you a table, we'll give you glasses. That's grassroots marketing. You're attracting and pitching that to the people. So it is very powerful.
Dr. Simi in the pharmacies in Mexico,
Correct.
he's their mascot, and he will
Correct.
be outside dancing.
Right.
But he became so famous that artists, like big artists, started bringing him into the concerts and on stage, talking about free marketing and branding.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
for that. So that's all grassroots. But Gloria, are you able to help? Are you able to help me as a small business if I contact us right here, right? And can
Definitely.
you help me figure it out? Is that something you
I
could
can
do?
definitely help you figure it out.
Like, what's
Depending
something
on
that you would
who your
that you
audience.
could do?
Well, I could set you up with first I'll do an assessment. I'll ask you, how much outreach do you want to do? How many employees would you like? How many events do you want to hit per month? What are they selling? Once I know what they're selling, and I'll connect the dots to what events would work for them. And that's how I would do it. I would also provide an employee that has training, or I would train their employees on how to do
So
it.
you could do exactly. So not just you're already doing it. Let me show you how to do it better. You want to get started? Let me show you how to get started. Or let me show your employees as well, right? So, Dio, is this something as well that do you think is effective, or is it a good investment? I know the answer, but for the people watching, is it a good investment to take your employees that are already going to outreach events, just sort of see what they're doing and find ways of improving, like training, basically?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think there are different ways that we can. One is obviously everything is contracted. It could be direct services. It could be doing the outreach directly, or getting a team, part of our team, to do the outreach, training their staff, or evaluating their current marketing strategies when they do grassroots. So that's the things that we can do. And then we can, like Gloria said, we'll do an evaluation assessment, and then we can determine, what will be the best, or the different options that we can offer depending on their budget and their needs. And we can go from there.
Absolutely. I think that this is something that I mean, if you really understand marketing and you understand and you've been in business for a while, you know the importance. And if you're just getting started, understand this: you are not going to just make it on pure ads. At first, it works, but you are putting money into something that, you're tracking clicks. But if you're not getting those people walking through your door, if they're not buying your service, then what does it matter that 1 million people clicked on your ad if you got no sales, if you got no appointments, if No one knows who you are. At the end of the day, it's just money down the drain. Where these events in your community, these ways of reaching people in person are going to create a long lasting impact. I still remember when I was a kid seeing certain things outside the store like that, like the little mascots that they stick with us for the rest of our lives. You're talking about making an impression on people. Forget the Facebook impression. Like think about the personal impression. So if you want to know more about this, if you want to at least get, I would suggest start with an analysis. Let's see what you're doing. Let's see what you've been doing, what's working, what's not working, what can you do more of, what you should do less of, and figure that out. Maybe this is something that is your hidden key that you need to really take your business to the next level. And you won't know until you really take that attempt. And if you've watched this up to this point, you obviously know that what we're saying here, it's something that resonates, and you got to take the next step. And the next step is actually doing it. It's just doing the next step. And then from there, finding the event. We are in June.
And permanent, not just for private sector, but also for federally funded programs. Because per se, you send your employee who's, let's say they're working, at the employment training office, and they go to a big event. Supposing this event has been advertised, there's going to be thousands of people there, and there's not. And that happens. It happens, and there's not. How can that employee, because they're still charging to be there, they're still charging your agency to be there. How can that employee make this productive? Well, one of the things that he can do is he can go from table to table, get contacts, get emails. So this way he can connect, and he can get later in the future, he can get outreach from them. They get outreach from each other. They find out what services they give. It's just a win-win situation. Just because no one showed up, just because the public didn't show up, doesn't mean you don't have 30 different agencies there. And I've seen it happen. So they're just sitting there. No, you don't need to just sit there. If you train someone, you could tell them, go from table to table, introduce yourself, give them your information, get their information. You get back to the office, you send an email. Say, it was nice meeting you. Any outreach event that comes through your desk, please share it. And that works. Dio has seen it. Also, I actually helped a chiropractor, and we were having to buy raffle prizes for every event that he had. And I said, why not let's get a t-shirt with your logo on it. And on the back, we can put, we got your back on the back of the t-shirt. And it really worked. And I would see the t-shirt all over town later, because if you're just giving away a toothbrush that doesn't have your logo, or, a raffle prize from Walmart or Target, that's not advertising your agency. And you're missing out. You're missing out. It'd be way cheaper to get t-shirts with your logo that you'll see around town. Just like the casinos. How many times do you see a Temple Bomb t-shirt everywhere? Chancy t-shirt everywhere. People are wearing them. They can wear your t-shirts too with a cute logo, and they'll see it again. So it works as many times as that person wears it, as many times as people see it. You're still advertising. You're still getting your money's worth.
Yeah, saturation of the brand. Yeah, make it visible.
Absolutely, guys, man. Thank you so much for sharing this. If people understood you guys' collective experience, all of us actually, we've been in this marketing
Yours
world
as well.
Just from the digital side, from all sides. That's why we are so sure of what we're saying is legit, because we also deal with digital. We deal with even traditional radio, app, TV, and nothing beats grassroots in your face marketing. Like, it's still to this point, we have not found a way to connect with people how can you connect with someone through a digital screen? Yeah, there's an attraction, but connection, like when you shake that hand, right? There's nothing that could beat that. So any parting words for you guys? And hopefully you guys contact us. So we're going to leave the link there. Just get in touch and let's start a conversation to see what your needs are. Start there. And maybe you don't have any needs. Maybe you're perfect. But I'm sure that there's something that you could do to bring your business to the next level. So any parting words, Gloria?
Sí, y hablamos español. And we can do this in Spanish as well. In fact, Dio's Spanish is perfect. Mine, I was born in Texas, raised in California by Mexican immigrants, but I have a very friendly people. I tend to get people like me right away, or they just hate me right away, but you'll like me. And so we can do this in Spanish, we can do it in English, and I get excited because I love doing this. So it shows with our work.
Absolutely. How about you, Dio? What do you have to say to the people that are they're gonna contact you guys right now because they're gonna contact us right now, and I'm sure they have to want to get their business to the next level. I don't think that anybody's in business to lose. So what
No,
would you say to them, Dio?
That just give us a call. Doesn't matter what part of the country you are, what state, we'll make it work for you. And even if you're outside of the country too. I mean, and like Gloria said, claro, hablamos español, entonces estamos aquí para servirles en cualquier cosa. So we just give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to help you make an assessment. And the good thing is that we can always move around and go to the place where you are, and either to do it ourselves or with the extended team might be a local team. So that's the advantage of too, because we have a spread network of contacts. So we might not be local, but we always have someone that we can contact at a local level that can work in that local market. So you're not getting someone that is not familiar with the area, and they're going to be well versed in the area. So
that's true.
that's the other advantage of it. So regardless of where you are, just give us a call, and we're always going to have someone that is at the local level to help you.
All right, great. That's great. That's the link there. You don't need even to put www or anything. Just inperson.marketing, and go there. Then you're going to be able to see what the services that we offer. You're going to be able to see upcoming workshops. We're going to have more in-depth workshops where we're going to just focus on one particular, like finding events, and just do an hour on intense how to find these events that are right for you. If you want to train your employees, again, we also offer workshops that are just for your company. We could do those virtually. Or if you really, really want the in-person experience, we'll do it in person.
Yeah.
Duh. So like that's actually nothing beats when you're in a conference room and you have people's energy there, and the back and forth of the questions, and nothing beats that, because virtually, yeah, that you can ask questions, but there's nothing when you're sitting there. But what if this happens? But what if that happens? And the next, there's nothing like that. It's just, having lunch and just really connecting with people. So if this is something that you want to do, please contact us. We're here for you. So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for sharing the information. And I'm sure people are going to see more of this. I'm sure they're going to want to. They're going to they need it. And the more AI comes about, the more this is going to be more valuable, because AI is never going to be able to replace the real people connection. It doesn't matter how smart AI is. That feeling, you cannot code a feeling. This is something that we have as humans, so keeps us different.
That's
so
true.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you, Dio, for the time.
Thank you, Dio, Furman. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye.